He's relatable and charming. So Rick makes a pretty compelling argument about why they gotta defeat these people. He didn't really have a plan. Jesus was like, "Here's the plan," and his plan was what? Just we gotta stop them. These people are killing people. They're doing bad things. Let's stop them. That's not a plan.
Would it help that he had a blue, like some sort of like schematics, to just unravel and this long.
I would like a little montage of
montage,
a little Home Alone montage where he's about
PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah. And Rick just doesn't have enough time to finish his mac and cheese or even start his mac and cheese before he has to go and put it in motion. But he says this little story about a girl removing a rock from the road and then finding a bag of gold as a reward. So that's where the title of the episode comes from, the rock in the road.
So they're still keeping to the theme of taking lines from the episode to make the title.
Yeah, well, that's a
which
tried
is fine.
And true method. So
far, I'm just noticing, sorry.
What do you think of this story? Its relevance and Rick being the one to deliver it. This seems more of a... It doesn't seem like a story that Rick would have under his belt.
I don't think... it's not entirely relevant because, well, if we try to like correlate, the whole situation they have with Negan to that girl who digs hard at this, this rock, that's obscuring everybody's path. Like he's implying that Negan has some sort of there's some sort of how do I say it, materialistic beneficiary to invading him.
And that is what I didn't like.
Yeah, because I don't feel like the fact that she was rewarded by lifting this rock up. And I'm saying, well, your reward is peace with Negan, I guess. Metaphorically, I guess that's what it is. But it doesn't. I don't find you can't think of another parable or something to go along with their situation. It could have been anything. I just don't know. I don't know why that one seemed to be the best choice for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the story was fine. It was a little too on point, but
it was a beer barrel.
A beer barrel, yeah.
That is the ultimate tragedy. She dropped a beer barrel. That is my tragedy.
Well, it wasn't for them. They were selling it. It was their livelihood.
Yeah, beer's my livelihood too.
Yeah. But removing the rock from the ground, that's reward enough for everyone. Just knowing that they did a good thing. Now they have this added incentive where she finds this bag of gold under the rock. That's not the reason for doing it. The reason for doing something good is not to be rewarded. It's not so that somebody can grant you these riches for doing something good for others. It's not. The point was skewed a little bit at this point.
It was almost felt like it was a commission of some sort. Something. Yeah. It's like if you just take just an example, I think at the top of my head is King Arthur just pulling out Excalibur. That's an accomplishment. No one is able to pull out the sword, and he pulls it out. But that's more of a conquest story than.
Well, yeah, it doesn't apply to this.
No, it doesn't apply to this at all. Actually, I'm glad they didn't go with that one. I don't know why I brought that one up. I wanted to think of something on the spot that could have maybe.
No, this was a perfect analogy for what was happening, but it was the reward was weird.
It was. And then Jerry goes, oh.
Yeah, Jerry is way too invested in this story. I guess he doesn't get a lot of,
Ezekiel even shut him
stories.
up, too.
Yeah.
He's just like, don't interrupt the king. He's like, oh, no, what does he say? What's it for? Oh, yeah, he says, Ezekiel greets you and goes, Jerry. It's enough. I don't need that.
Yeah.
We're in an auditorium.
What
about Morgan even?
Yeah, because King Ezekiel asks Morgan what he thinks.
But he finds out who was capped off by Negan.
Yeah.
And
does that change Morgan's view on the matter at all?
I think he's actually more bedrocked more than anything.
Yeah.
I feel like he's more indifferent than ever because he says...
More indifferent than ever?
Yes, because he goes, there's got to be another way. Maybe we could capture Negan or something.
But you can tell he doesn't even believe what he's saying.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what you were going to say.
That's what I was going to get at. And I felt like, coming to that, because to get to Negan anyway, you have to, there will be lives risked anyway.
Yeah.
So I figured, not just by the lives or anything, but just, there will be, he's willing to make sacrifices for that reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, trying to get basically, the head of the, say the head of that, of that group of people, and try to maybe try. I know the intention is for him to get that head of the group of people so he could basically interact and try to change him. Yeah. That's always his intention, but he is second guessing himself as he's saying it.
Yeah.
And though everybody nods their head, but I wonder if they detect that in his voice a little bit.
They have to. Just as he's not sure of himself anymore.
Exactly.
It's his whole view on killing is getting tired. And even when he announces to Daryl and Rick that He saved Carol. He had to kill somebody.
Yeah.
It was the only way. It's like, you want a pat on the back? Like, this is something you should have been doing since the get-go. You know?
Rick should have said, well, I was doing everything I can so nobody dies so far. So Negan, he was caring as much as Morgan would in his position. Because I feel like if it was Morgan in his position, he would do exactly what Rick did.
Yeah. So
they're starting to cross paths.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Rick doesn't cross too far onto the other side.
Well, I mean, like they'll have to. I feel like there will be. I feel like the showrunners will make it a way for them to meet halfway on both their principles.
Yeah, but that's what they do. They find a way to make everyone meet and then split up again.
Hopefully,
we lost Daryl again in this episode. We just got him back. Now he's stuck with the king and Ben.
No, maybe they'll edit it properly and have everybody participate in every episode.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard. You got a big cast, but.
Narrow it down.
The king must sleep on this. Even though time is of the essence, he still needs to think about it.
Yeah, he assumes no one else has anything to do, so they have to stay over.
Yeah.
Say, we got to get back. Well, I got to think about it till the morning, so...
Yeah. We have a very short scene of Ben running into Carol in the woods. Ben is the...
Benjamin.
Benjamin's this kid who King Ezekiel says is going to be very important in the days to come, or the years to come. Yeah, he's got plans for him. So this kid's out there, tries to give her food and water, but Carol refuses and tells him to be quieter out there because she could hear him a mile away.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Go ahead.
Right, sorry, I didn't mean to. He's got to go heel to toe. She says.
Yeah, it's not going to help. There's always crunchy leaves in The Walking Dead.
That's true.
So Ezekiel he's telling a bedtime story to a child. I did not get the relevance of the bedtime story other than him saying, "We'll be free," or freedom, or something about freedom.
A little relevant. It's a little relevant.
A little irrelevant or relevant?
A little bit of everything.
I just don't...
I don't know. I'm kidding. I mean, like, obviously freedom is what they're fighting for, so just that theme is already, pretty straightforward.
So Ben gives him an update on Carol and tells him that they should help Rick. But in the morning, Rick is told that the kingdom will not be part of this war. But King Ezekiel offers that Daryl it gives him a place to stay until this all blows over.
I mean, you don't feel like he does that in a way that, like, I mean, okay, it's weird because we know he's eventually going to accept, and then he kind of knows it too by doing that gesture in a way too.
Well, something terrible has to happen, I think, to King Ezekiel's people before he accepts.
I guess so. I mean, it's what it seems.
Because from his point of view, they have a pretty good thing going. They still have to give him half the stuff, but they've never come inside the kingdom. And none of his people know about it. Right. And they're allowed to carry guns. They're allowed to do all this stuff. So they have it better off than anybody else.
That's true.
So he has more of a reason not to want to be part of this than Gregory. I think.
No, yeah, I agree. It's just, to have that gesture, though. The fact that he could have just said, well, Daryl would figure something. Daryl didn't want to stay there, but no. he anticipated the fact that, well, in case anything does happen, he's best to stay here. And for him to have that offer, it almost feels like he has an inclination to move on that path anyway.
Or maybe he just knows he's not giving them what they want, but let's offer them this little consolation prize.
It's a very good customer service he's got going there.
Yeah. So, no one's happy about it, but especially that they had to wait all night just to hear a no.
That's what I was saying. Like, he had nothing to do. We can wait all night. Benjamin pleaded his case, and he was proud. He said he was proud of him. It still went against what he said.
Yeah. The king is very proud of young Benjamin.
Even though it was an opposed opinion.
Yeah. So they're out on the road now. We hear Negan over walkie-talkie giving a eulogy for Fat Joey. I like this line. Saying that Fat Joey, without him, Skinny Joey is just Joey.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That
was the best eulogy I've heard for someone in a long time.
It's math I could understand, I guess.
Yeah. You can see it. You could hear the disappointment in Negan's voice, too. Just how they have to just start calling this guy Joey now. Apparently, no need to call him Skinny Joey.
No, you don't. Apparently, though, it's understood. I don't know if it was in the eulogy that did he commemorate the fact that he was good with text and stuff, the technical stuff and everything.
No,
it wasn't there. Well, because what I read for what they encounter later on the highway, it was apparently all Fat Joe's doing because he was so tech savvy and everything with
Well, tech savvy or setting up the bombs?
Setting the bombs, tech savvy. I throw that all in together.
Well, that's not the same thing.
No, okay, but he was able to put the bomb. He's able to set those traps. He's very technical. He could be. He's responsible for what the encounter next.
Okay. Sure. Sure, yeah, I think they mentioned Fat Joey in an episode earlier on about how he set this stuff up.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if it was in the eulogy that I missed the second time that he said it, so I guess not.
Yeah, I didn't hear about any of that. I just heard that...
I read an article that it kind of reminded me of it.
Yeah, so, well, Fat Joey's gone.
But...
So he must have seen this when he first got back to Alexandria, when he first got back to... Where did the Saviors live?
The Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary, when he got back, but he didn't know that Daryl had left yet. So that comes up in like 5 minutes after that. He finds out that he left. Rick's group, now they come across this roadblock. And I'm a little confused, David.
Oh, so am I. It raises so many questions.
There's a bunch of cars set up to block the road on both sides of the highway.
No,
right? Only on one side?
Only on one side.
Only on one side.
Yeah.
That's strange right away because if it's to block walkers...
Exactly.
What do they care about what side of the street they're walking on? Then they also have this long metal cord with explosives, dynamite, attached to this trigger.
Right.
I don't really know what the reason for that was. Was it to blow up these walkers?
The thing is, this is where the geography becomes confusing once again in this universe. Is that, first of all, the first question that I ask myself is like, where are they coming from? So they're coming from the kingdom and they're going back to Alexandria. They've never been to the kingdom before, so they take this route. Is that going towards the sanctuary? Because then Carl spots it, like, beyond the forest. He spots something. Okay, so are they going towards the sanctuary and towards Alexandria? Is that all on the way, or is it from, or were they coming from the direction where the sanctuary is? And this herd from where it's coming from, and then where they end up going, because at the end of this, they end up backing up back to where they were going. I'm guessing they'll take another route. But at the result of everything, they gain what they gain, but then they go back to where they came from. So
are you trying to confuse me more?
I mean, well,
because this is not helping.
No, it's not. But I'm telling you what happened, and that's the thing, and that's the problem. So it doesn't. So like this is what happens. Like, and even if we talk about it or break it down and dissect it, it doesn't. It doesn't see. It still raises these questions.
Okay. So yeah, my understanding is that they wanted to block off the road from walkers or herd them in a certain direction. They wanted them, and that's where my understanding fails me. That's where it ends. So I don't understand if these saviors have to move these cars every time they want to pass by, if these cars are set up to stop the Alexandrians from coming to them, what the point of it all is. It's skewed, but in the end it doesn't matter because everything blows up. Cars are moved.
Not really. But...
Okay, well, this is what happens. They move the cars.
Right.
With the intention to move the cars back afterwards.
Which takes a long time, I think.
Yeah, and they don't have much time right now because they know they have to get back to Alexandria because people are coming. Because that's what we hear. We hear Negan say they have a code red and someone has to go over to Alexandria and find Daryl if he was stupid enough to go back there.
Right.
So now they're working with a time limit. Now, Walking Dead takes a turn here because they find the explosives, and they know they have to take these explosives. They'll be useful in the future.
Right.
Rosita puts her bomb skills to work here.
Finally, like her military
expertise. Which
kind of remind you of Lost.
It did. It reminded me of Lost. Reminded me of 80s action TV shows. It was just the building music and the slow zoom ins on their sweaty faces as they're trying to get these sticks of dynamite loose. I don't understand why it was so entertaining. I knew none of them were going to die.
Yeah, I know. And I still, like, this is the first time this first time this season I'm invested on their, like, their lives being at risk.
Yeah.
It's the first time and they managed that, and that's great.
Something about dynamite, something about just something so unstable and something that...
Well, you could, like, the thing is that you could, like, they could hit each other together and they won't spontaneously combust without a trigger, right? But...
Oh, no, they will if they're damaged. That's why some of them were damaged. Like, you know how Rosita didn't like the look of one of them?
And he just left it on the road? Okay.
Yeah, like, if the casing's intact, you're fine, but if any of it starts to, like, battery acid...
You can't just toss it anywhere in the back seat or something, can you?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
As soon as they start to get corroded.
Okay.
That's when they can go off at any point. But
could they go off in the heat like that too?
Yeah. It looks way too hot out there for these.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, how long did they expect that to last? That's what I don't understand. Like, I feel like it was to attract the herd and additionally blow up anything and attract the herd. But the thing is, even just we're talking about the geography of this, even the time of this. Like, so Fat Joe anticipated a herd, placed all this. died, and then somehow to their convenience they're on their way, I guess they're back to Alexandria, somehow on that road where all this was anticipated, and they hit the jackpot with these dynamite sticks and an RPG, which